Hey everyone, I'm Stephanie, host and head bookologist here at the Get Literate podcast. I'm a book-loving, notebook-hoarding reader and writer on a mission to change lives one book and one notebook at a time. On this podcast, we explore the power of bookology and leading literate lives. We talk all things books and reading and notebooks and writing, mixed in with mindful practices and creativity to create lives we love. You can expect regular weekly episodes focused on 3 books you need to know about on a bookish theme and how to bring those themes to life in our actual lives too. You can also expect author interviews, notebooking inspiration, and topics to help us grow through what we go through and take inspired action to make our lives better. So grab a notebook and your TBR list and let's get literate. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Get Literate podcast. I'm Stephanie, your friendly bookologist, here with a book list to help you grow through what you go through. So right now, we are smack dab in the middle of winter. The days are shorter, the sun sets earlier, the temperature's colder, the wind is stronger, and for many of us, that can bring on a case of the winter blues. We can feel less motivated, our overall mood can just decrease, and we just might feel stuck waiting for the sunnier days and the seasons ahead. Enter books to the rescue. So today I'm sharing 3 books that I think are perfect to help you beat the winter blues. One book celebrates the magic inside of a cold, very cold winter season. Another will whisk you away to a different, likely colder location and make you forget all about your own winter blues as you get lost inside the pages. And finally, the third book is going to give you the swift kick in the pants reminder that you can control much of how you feel, so you should. So those 3 books combined, I think, are the perfect punch to beat the winter blues. Up first is a book that truly celebrates the winter season and will help you fall in love with it all over again. It is a stunning novel that celebrates winter and the season of finding who you were really meant to be during this time. The book I'm talking about is Viola Shipman's The Secret of Snow. I adored this book. It's all about Sunny, and Sunny has been running for a very long time. She's a 50-year-old woman who has been running from her childhood Michigan home to escape family tragedy. She's been running from any relationship that she could potentially lose. And she's been running from the place inside herself that's begging to be forgiven and set free. But all of that changes when she's forced to return home to the only job she can get because of a little outburst and save her reputation. Now, when she's there, she's confronting all of her childhood fears. She's reuniting with people that she ran from so long ago. And as you might expect, that causes all sorts of heartbreak and outbursts. And some of those outbursts are captured on video and then shared on social media. But a dose of Michigan winter, which I am coming to love from the books that I'm reading and need to add it to my bucket list. That dose of Michigan winter combined with such a beautiful, loving mother and an unexpected ray or rays of sunshine in her life just might help her make peace with herself and find herself home after all. As I mentioned, I adored this book. I was completely mesmerized by both the vivid and emotional descriptions of a Michigan winter, and I was completely connected to Sunny from the start. But beyond that, beyond teaching us how to truly enjoy the season of winter and what it means, I really felt like this book was having a life coach by your side. As Sunny was figuring out her life with some unexpected tips of advice and some gifts from friends, readers could help figure out their own stories as well. what winter might mean for them and how it could be an opportunity to decide the stories they want their lives to tell too. I have loved every single Viola Shipman, Wade Rouse book that I have read, and this is another one that I will definitely treasure. So if you're ready to kick yourself out of the winter blues by figuring out what's so amazing about this season, I think you need to pick up Viola Shipman's The Secret of Snow. Now, up next, I have a fiction novel that's going to make you forget about your winter blues because it's going to take you somewhere I can almost guarantee is colder than where you actually are and is going to get you so lost in the mystery and the intrigue and the drama of the characters in this book that you're going to forget all about your own life. The book I'm talking about is Beartown by Frederick Bachman. Now, I know many of you listening probably already know about this book and love this book and have already started to devour the other two books in the trilogy. But for those of you that haven't picked it up yet, I think the winter season is a perfect time to do so. The theme and mood and season of the book quite likely matches the theme and mood and season in life. And when those two things come together, magic can happen. So there are so many themes that came out inside this book. Hockey, which I didn't know I wanted to know so much about. Marriage, motherhood, fatherhood, loss, assault, violence, sexuality, belonging, and a whole lot of assumptions. Truly, I have never read a book that fit quite so many powerful themes into a single novel and did it so well, holding my attention the entire time until Beartown. It was so powerful. It was so provocative. And what I loved is that it wove these very interesting and very different, diverse stories of all different characters into a single unified novel that literally had me turning the pages as fast as I possibly could. Each one of the characters inside is on their own kind of complex journey, and you can literally feel and experience the emotions and actions of each one as you turn the pages. I truly could not get enough, and I am unfortunately have not read the second and third books because there are so many books on my TBR stack. But sharing Beartown with you today has reminded me how much I loved this book, how immersed I became in Beartown, and how I need to get that second and third book off of my TBR, off of my bookshelf, and onto my read list. So if you want to head to somewhere colder than where you are, and you want to get lost in the most interesting, intricate, and provocative stories, Frederick Bachman's Beartown is the book for you. So far, we've talked about two books. One book that can help you embrace the joy of winter. One book that can help you get lost in the power of winter. And now I want to share a book that could be just the motivation you need to get out of your winter blues rut and literally change your tomorrow. In fact, that was the first line of the review I shared online about this book. This book is changing the trajectory of my tomorrow. That is how powerful this book is. What is that book? It's titled Your Perfect Year, and it's a novel by Charlotte Lucas. This book is incredible. So it follows Hannah and Jonathan. So there are two perspectives that we see go back and forth throughout this book. And it follows both of these characters and the very unexpected and incredibly creative way that their lives collide. It's just something that I've never read before. I have never thought of this experience or these two people coming together in this way, and it's brilliant. So Jonathan is a man who is set in his ways. He does the same things every single day, and he doesn't really enjoy much of his life at all. Now, on the flip side, we've got Hannah. Hannah is a brand new business owner of this Little Rascals Innovative Daycare Center, and she has a truly positive look on life that just comes naturally to her. But she is struggling to help someone who she loves and who is very close to her change his mindset to match her own. On New Year's morning, which is where the book begins, Jonathan, on his run that he doesn't enjoy but thinks he should do to stay in shape, he finds attached to his bicycle a bag. And inside that bag is a year-long Filofax planner, right? Just imagine this beautiful leather-bound planner. And when he opens it up to see who it belongs to, he finds that this entire year-long planner for the year ahead is completely filled out with what's to come for whoever it belongs to. There are inspiring quotes on the pages, there are daily tasks to be completed, and there are even some unexpected events planned for whoever the owner is to do throughout the year. He knows someone must be missing this book, even though he's quite confused why someone would fill it out an entire year in advance. He tries desperately to find the owner in all sorts of ways, but he can't. And eventually, he just decides to look at the planner as a gift and to follow the daily entries accordingly as if it were his. And guess what happens? He changes his entire life in the process. Now, these chapters go back and forth, and we get a close look at both Jonathan's life and how it's changing, and Hannah's life and what she's attempting to do. And combined, we all get a dose of therapy. Truly, the kind of therapy that is based on scientific facts and how the mind works. And you know, I have been diving deep into this topic, but told in such a relatable story that you can't help but make these practices your own. I truly feel that everyone must read this book, but if you are struggling with the winter blues, you absolutely must read this book. And then you can join me in my brand new adventure that has already begun. I am not going to say anything more other than the second I closed this book, I got moving. I did something and I'm living something right now that only this book could have prompted. And maybe you're figuring it out without even reading it, but I want you to read it. I want you to figure it out what it is you think I've done, and then I want you to join me in it. I have an entire episode planned on this inspired action that I took after reading this book, and I'm really excited to see where it goes. So if you haven't read Your Perfect Year yet, it is a book everyone should read, but especially if you are struggling with a little bit of the winter blues and need a swift kick in the pants to decide that you can actually choose a different tomorrow. Oh, so good. So there you have it. Those are 3 books that I think could beat your winter blues. We've got The Secret of Snow by Viola Shipman, Beartown and the entire trilogy by Frederick Bachman, and Your Perfect Year by Charlotte Lucas. But now I want to follow up with a couple of notebooking prompts too. You know that I love to read to help me grow through what I go through, but writing is a big part of that process for me. My morning pages that just help me get everything off the page. But more recently, I've really been doing quite well, quite frankly, with notebook prompts, which is not what I used to do in the past. And so I've created a couple of notebook prompts that I want to share with you. Think of it as your personal winter blues notebook apothecary, just what you need to kick those winter blues away. So here are a couple of things that you might head to your notebook and write about if you want to beat those winter blues. First up is write on a new, fresh piece of paper with the date at the top, 3 things that you're grateful for. 3 things that you're grateful for, and they can be anything. They can be big, like I'm grateful for my job, for my partner, for my home, for my kids. They can be big, grand things that you're grateful for. I want you to write down 3. And then underneath it, I want you to write down three more. But I don't want these to be big, grand things, kinds of things that you just might repeat every day over and over again. That's not the kind of gratitude list that can change your mindset. The kind of gratitude list that can change your mindset, I've learned, are those that are very specific things you're grateful for that have happened within the last 24 hours. That's the difference. Really appreciating and staying present for those good things and training your brain to recognize them every day. It's those little small moments that can have such a big impact. So, what are three things that you're grateful for within the last 24 hours? A really good cup of coffee, an unexpected text from a friend, 15 more minutes to sleep in. Celebrate those little things and then press play on that task again and again and again every day. I promise keeping track of what you're grateful for like that, it really can be a mindset shifter. Now, the second thing you might try is to figure out how you can help yourself. So, on a new piece of paper, I want you to write down 5 strengths that you have inside of you, or 5 skills that you have inside of you, 5 tools that you have access to that can help you on the tough days. Because we all do get the winter blues. And the fact is, it's okay to feel them. Running from them often doesn't make them go away, but thinking about what they represent and what you can do about it does. So just take an inventory. What are your own personal strengths that can help you get through a period of winter blues? What are the tools? What are the skills that you have? How can you help yourself? It's a really powerful way to rethink what could fix those winter blues, because often when we're feeling awful, we're waiting for something outside to change so that we can feel better. And what I'm learning is you need to feel better before you take action on making those outside things to change. And that is really hard. So, one thing that could help is to just start with an inventory of the goodness inside of you that could help you change what's going on. Now, next, I want you to make a list of as many ways as you can possibly think to enjoy the winter season. Now, depending on where you are, your winter might not be very cold. Maybe it's cold for you, but for me in upstate New York, I bet there are many of you who are not dealing with weather quite as cold or as snowy as New York can sometimes be. So, no matter where you are, New York, Michigan, California, Tennessee, Ohio, Indiana, anywhere in the world, just make a list of things that you could enjoy in your winter season. If you live in a snowy area, it might be building a snowman at random as an adult, right? Or taking your kids out for hot chocolate, staying inside, putting a fire on, and reading until you fall asleep. Maybe it's going out and visiting some sort of winter display or winter carnival. Maybe it's taking a day to get away and go to a different winter scene than your own. Whatever it is, write down as many possible things as you can think of. Think about things within your own home that you could enjoy differently in the winter season, things that are local and easily accessible that you could do or experience. And then, of course, think bigger. Maybe there's a little miniature getaway, a little miniature staycation that you could plan to just make you think differently about this season. And then finally, one of my favorites, I tend to do this often in my notebook. I want you to write a letter to your future self. Write a letter to your future spring self, right? When the winter is gone and the winter blues have dissipated and you are finding yourself squarely in spring, just write a letter to yourself. What do you want that future version of you to know? That's it. And so many different things could come up. You might start talking about what's going on in the winter and congratulate yourself for getting over it. You might talk about the things you hope that you'll do in the spring once you're grateful for that change in weather and the change in daylight and sunshine. There's all sorts of different things that you might write a letter about, but just start with "Dear Me" and see what happens. It really is quite interesting the many different avenues this letter has taken for me every time that I do it. And so just be open to seeing about how writing to your future spring self might help you get over your current winter blues. All right, so you are ready to beat the winter blues. We've got 3 books that you can add to your TBR. We've got a bunch of notebook prompts that are guaranteed to help shift your mindset. And that way you can start to enjoy the season and really harness the power of reading and writing to make life better. Now, I would love to know what your favorites are. Do you have any book recommendations that could help listeners get over their winter blues? I want to hear about them. Find me online at alitlife.com and enter your book titles in the show notes, in the comments of the show notes for this episode. You can find me on your favorite social media platform at @AfinitoLit. And as always, you could click that little audio button inside your podcast platform to just rattle off the titles that are coming to your mind right now. I'd also love to know if you have particular notebook prompts that help you get out of a rut or out of winter blues too. If you've watched me on social media, you know I have a brand new journal jar. It's my own personal notebook apothecary where I have been putting ideas that I get from all over the place into the jar so that when it's time for me to write a notebook, I've got something that can help focus my writing attention. I've loved it. It's done a lot of wonderful things for my writing life. So if you have some really great writing prompts on this topic too, I would love to know about them. So until next time in the next episode, here's to happy reading, happy writing, and kicking our own mindset to get out of the winter blues. Thanks for listening, everyone, and I'll see you inside the next episode. Thanks for listening to today's episode of the Get Literate podcast. You'll find links to all the books, resources, and ideas mentioned in the show notes and at alitlife.com. Plus, if you want more, you might like to join my Patreon community. There, you'll find additional inspiration for your reading and writing life, like bonus podcast episodes, bibliotherapy book calendars, monthly book clubs, notebooking challenges, live events, giveaways, and much, much more. It's only $5 a month, and you get instant access to all of the previous content too. You can learn more at getliterate.co. And one more thing. If you love what you listened to today, please take a moment to rate and review the podcast or take a screenshot of the episode and text it to a friend. This helps the podcast grow and builds our bookish and notebookish community too. Thanks for listening.